My dear students, my name is Shantaram, Selection Grade Lecturer in Mechanical Engineering, Government Polytechnic, Karwar. Now I am going to take a session 3 under Introduction to Refrigeration in Unit 1. So in this session we are going to discuss the following aspects: liquid gas refrigeration, vapor compression refrigeration, vapor absorption refrigeration, thermoelectric refrigeration, and magnetic refrigeration. So first we shall take up liquid gas refrigeration. So refrigeration can also be produced by evaporation of liquid gases. A liquid gas is filled in well-insulated cylinders and sprayed or circulated in the space to be refrigerated. When this liquid gas evaporates, it lowers the temperature of the space. Popular in cooling the perishable articles during transportation in vehicles. A vehicle chamber cooled by the spray of liquid nitrogen is shown in the figure 1.9. In this case, we are using, instead of ice, liquid liquid gas. So some gases can be maintained in liquefied condition, just like LPG, liquefied petroleum gas. In the similar fashion, there are some substances that can be stored in a liquid form. So in this case, nitrogen in the liquefied form stored in some cylinder, and it is fitted in a vehicle which is meant for transportation of perishable items from one place to another place. You can see in the figure. So in that you can see cylinder, and it is fitted with pipeline and a control valve, and it is connected to a spray header. It is fitted with a number of nozzles. So in this vehicle cabinet, it is insulated, and foodstuff whichever is to be transported, that is kept there. And when when valve is operated based on the quantity of items to be transported. So here what happens, the liquid nitrogen as comes out of the nozzle in the form of fine spray, comes in contact with the foodstuff. So it exchanges its heat with the foodstuff, and becomes a gas, and that gas is let out to the atmosphere. So in this way, it is a very convenient method of transporting uh, foodstuff from one place to another place in the cold condition. So it is a very useful in transporting foodstuffs from one place to another place. So when the quantity is more, then the valve is to be operated a little bit opened furthermore, and in that way the quantity can be adjusted, and in this way you can transport the food stuff from one place to another place. Next, we shall take up vapor compression refrigeration. It is a very popular one, and it is widely used nowadays. And here it is called mechanical refrigeration, because here we are using mechanical energy, that is in the form of a compression work. So that's why it's called mechanical refrigeration. It is based on the principle that liquid when evaporates absorbs heat. So already we have studied the evaporative principle. So say on the same concept it has been developed. And you know that for liquid to become vapor, it must have absorbed its latent heat of evaporation. So here some substance called refrigerant, which is capable of boiling or evaporating at a negative temperature below 0 degrees centigrade, is being used. And refrigerant picks up the heat from the space to be cooled and takes it to a distant point and rejects it there. This method of refrigeration is employed in the smallest household refrigerator as well as the largest air conditioning plants. The common refrigerants used in this system are 130 or 134A, propane, ammonia, carbon dioxide, freon refrigerants, etc. Actually, this we are going to discuss in elaborate fashion in the subsequent chapters. For the time being, you just remember, and the components of this system has been shown in the figure. So it consists of evaporator, compressor, condenser, and expansion device. So in the evaporator, low temperature, low pressure liquid refrigerant enters, which absorbs the heat from the surrounding and becomes vapor refrigerant at low pressure and low temperature. It is sucked by the compressor. Compression, due to compression, the pressure and temperature of both temperature and pressure of refrigerant increase, and that goes to the condenser where it is cooled, so that in the condenser the heat is exchanged between the hot vapor refrigerant with a cooling medium. It may be water or air, and thereby vapor refrigerant becomes a liquid refrigerant, but at a higher temperature and pressure. It is taken to the expansion device, where in the expansion device throttling takes place. Because of throttling, you know that throttling is a constant enthalpy process, and pressure and temperature of refrigerant are reduced, and that will be as required in the evaporator. So in that way, the low temperature, low pressure liquid refrigerant enters the evaporator, and the cycle repeats. Vapor absorption refrigeration. Another method of refrigeration is vapor absorption. In some places, in the say remote places where electricity is not available, in such places, still you can have the cooling or refrigerating effect um, by adopting this method. In this system, the we are using low grade energy, that is a heat energy, instead of high grade energy, that is mechanical or electrical energy. Wherever the electricity is not available, in such places it is very convenient. In this system, heat energy is used to produce refrigeration, unlike mechanical energy as used in vapor compression system. The vapor absorption system uses two substances which have great affinity for each other, but which can be separated easily by the application of heat. The system is used in both domestic and commercial installations. This, of course, this is also we are going to discuss in the elaborate fashion in the subsequent chapters. And here we are using instead of mechanical energy, that is compression work, we are using two substances which have the attraction or affinity for each other, and by utilizing them, the movement or flow of refrigerant is maintained in the system. Okay, next we shall take up thermoelectric refrigeration. So this is another method of refrigeration. In this, you might have heard about a thermocouple, where in the thermocouple, two dissimilar metallic wires are taken, and two junctions are formed. Uh, Two junctions are kept at two different temperatures. Then an EMF is set up, that is electromotive force or electricity in general. So this can be easily noticed by introducing some galvanometer in that circuit, and that same concept is utilized here um, in order to produce a cooling effect. So it is called a Peltier effect. So as shown in the figure, we have cold junction and hot junctions made up of semiconductor materials, P and N junctions, and here an insulated chamber is used, which is called a refrigerated space, where cooling takes place, and the other one is open to the atmosphere surrounding. And in the thermocouple, we are using two different temperature regions, whereas here that process is reversed. That means we are going to connect this system with some battery. That means we are providing direct current to the system. So in this process, when the electricity is passed, then one junction becomes a cold junction, other junction becomes hot junction. Whereas in thermocouple, we are generating electricity by creating two temperature junctions. Instead of that one, here we are supplying the electricity and producing two junctions in order to get a cooling effect. Remember, this method is only the experimental purpose or research oriented, and practically these are not amicable for on the larger scale. Next, we shall take up a magnetic refrigeration. This is another method of refrigeration. Of course, this is also in the experimental stage and not applied on the wide scale in the practical field. It works on magnetocalorific effect, which implies that temperature of some materials like gadolinium increases when they are exposed to magnetic field and decreases when they are removed from it. This effect is reversible and takes place almost instantly. This principle is shown in the figure 1.12. The phenomenon of magnetocalorific effect was discovered in 1881 by German physicist Warburg. Giac used this phenomenon in 1933 for a magnetocalorific system which produced a temperature of 0.25 Kelvin. This work fetched him Nobel Prize in 1949. As on now, efforts are being made worldwide to make this technology commercially viable for ultra-low temperature cryogenic applications like in spacecrafts. Mm, Dear students, you remember that so far whatever the methods we have discussed, only few need to name vapor compression, vapor absorption, uh, and ice refrigeration or solid ice refrigeration. Such few methods are only popular and still being used, and all other methods are only for discussion, only based on experimental this one interest and experimental stage, and they are not widely used due to so many limitations. With this, I hope you have understood some concept regarding methods of refrigeration, and we shall end up this session. Before ending up, we shall check our level of understanding the concepts to discuss so far through multiple choice questions. Question 1. In liquid gas refrigeration, the commonly used substance is liquid nitrogen, liquid carbon dioxide, any one of above, none of above. What is your answer? So it can be liquid nitrogen, can also be liquid carbon dioxide. Therefore, answer must be any one of above. Okay. Second question. Which type of current is used in thermoelectric refrigeration? Alternating current. It depends on the system. Direct current. None of the above. What is your answer? So it is direct current because we have inserted a battery. The battery produces DC, direct current. Okay. Third question. Which of the following is an advantage of thermoelectric refrigeration over vapor compression refrigeration? It is silent in operation. It requires less maintenance. It has no moving parts. All the above. So what is your answer? It is answer option D. All the above. Okay. Fourth question. Thermoelectric refrigeration has a low COP, average COP, fluctuating COP, high COP. So it has a low COP. Fifth, a thermoelectric refrigeration system uses electrical energy, heat energy, mechanical energy, chemical energy. What is your answer? It is a battery. That means electrical energy. Sixth question. Vapor compression is also known as a mechanical refrigeration, natural refrigeration, artificial refrigeration, none of the above. So it is a mechanical refrigeration. Question number 7. A vapor absorption refrigeration system uses heat energy, mechanical energy, kinetic energy, potential energy. What is your answer? It is a heat energy. Question 8. COP for vapor compression refrigerator is of order of 1 to 3, 5 to 10, 10 to 15, none of the above. So it is highest. That means it's of the order of 10 to 15. Okay. Magnetocalorific material example is copper, aluminium. Which one? Gadolinium. It is a gadolinium. Okay, with this we shall end up this session. Please, you can enrich your knowledge by going through these standard textbooks available in our library as well as in the e-format. Please refer them. I hope you have understood the topic well. Okay, we shall stop this session. Thank you one and all.